Good afternoon and welcome to today's segment, which our focus today is really to talk about how you can leverage on AI to make better business decision. And the bottom line is this cut across every aspect of the things that we get to do as either business owner or individuals who are just willing to impact on businesses. The bottom line is AI is really here to make life better. Now, it all now depends on the perspective which we are looking at how we can leverage on this technology. To help us with this conversation, we're really going to be looking at just five key things that we can do in order to improve business transactions or business interaction when it comes to artificial intelligence. Now, pretty much um, in my previous lesson or in my previous conversation, I got to really explain some of the things that we need to really cater for, especially as marketers or people who are interested in ensuring that businesses maintain some level of growth. So, in this very lesson, is just another layer to see how we can make things even better. Now, in my next, or sorry, in the previous segment, I really talked about using quality data. Now, the truth is that whenever we hear the term artificial intelligence, we're just talking about data. To be honest, because at the end of the day, without quality data, we can do we can achieve little things when it comes to technology as a whole. So, pretty much, when you hear the term artificial intelligence, just always remember that we're actually talking about data. So, to make this conversation very interesting, I have more or less broken this whole thing down into some modules which we're going to be looking at in the next couple of minutes. Now, when we talk about AI, we need to more or less look at these five things. And looking at these five things, the first on my list is you have to understand that AI is driven by data. Now, for you to be able to make decisions, you need to ensure that you have quality data. It is the quality data that can then transcend into whatever we need to do at the long run. But pretty much, quality data is something that we can have at the back of our mind from the beginning of every conversation that we have. Now, aside that, then one needs to also understand what is predictive analysis or predictive analytics. Like, how do you more or less use that existing data to predict the future? You can actually think about it in the form of how can you use your previous years to predict what is going to happen in the next couple of months. And that's what artificial intelligence allows us to do in real time. So looking at it from another perspective, when you're able to gather quality data, the next thing you will realize is you're able to make good information out of that very data. You're able to make better decision out of that very data. Another thing you can then understand is when you're able to do all of this, you would then enhance your customer experience. So pretty much what we're looking at is how you can juggle all of these things together, from quality, making data driven decisions to having predictive analysis and enhancing your customer experience, and also looking at how you can enhance your operational efficiency when you are able to pay attention to all of these things. And finally, we're going to be looking at risk management. How do you ensure that you're not actually selling your data, or you're not just allowing people who are not authorized to have some level of access, which may in turn cause some sort of danger to the business. So now let's pretty much move forward and see what we can do together. Now, when we talk about data-driven decision, we're more or less talking about businesses moving away from just sentiments, just imagination. Imagine having the business that is almost sure of the decision they're about to make. This doesn't just happen. It happens with a lot of work, putting in a lot of efforts, putting in a lot of dedication in ensuring that all of these things work. And aside that, we can also look at it from the perspective of how do we ensure that these decisions actually work together with the business goal. There's a say that the moment you can visualize it, you can actualize it. Data gives you the ability to visualize the future right from the present. So when you look at it from that perspective, can you really, really, really say what is going to happen based on that data that you're able to generate from the businesses? And that's what we're talking about here. Our ability to more or less think through the process, which we can then use to influence the decision that we are making when it comes to data management and data execution as well. Now, the bottom line is all of these things, putting them together may not be something that we are used to, but the bottom line is really, really very possible. And those are things that we're talking about right here. Okay, so moving on to the next segment is predictive analytics. So with this process, the bottom line is you have the capacity to be able to predict what is likely to happen. And that's the advantage of when it comes to working with artificial intelligence. It gives you that flexibility to be able to act, and also it gives you that flexibility for you to be able to more or less think of things and do them differently, unlike how other people will get to do things. When you're able to pull up all of this data and you're able to maximize the processes, the tendency that you achieve success is very high. So when we talk about predictive analysis or predictive analytics, is the process which you look at trends, look at what is going on, look at similarities, and then use those data to predict what is likely to happen in the next sort of business engagement. And that's what we're talking about here. How do we move beyond just the ordinary and find ways to make sure that we have engagement and we're able to pay attention to patterns, look at curve, see graphs, and be able to really find a way to make informed business decision. And also, we have enhanced customer experience. So just imagine it. Imagine you're able to gather quality data from your business operation, which means business data that really matter, not just the name of the user, their phone number. We're talking about really understanding almost everything that the user get to do on your platform. Now, the advantage with that is you have a higher power to be able to do so many things with such data. Now, once you're able to then gather this quality data, the next thing to really talk about is how do you find a way to analyze that data. By analyzing the data, you can then do your predictive analysis, which means if XYZ number of customers get to buy something from us today, as a result of XYZ, are they likely to buy tomorrow? If they're not going to be buying tomorrow, what can we do to make them buy? These are areas where predictive analysis gets to really pan out so well. Now, let's look at the next point. The next point is operational efficiency. Now, the truth is, oftentimes, you may not really know the areas where you're wasting time in your business. For some, you may be customer experience in terms of when customer gets to need help in certain ways. The question right now is, how frustrated or how tedious is that process? Sometimes you're unable to really visualize this by yourself. But when you are able to really understand the data within the business operation and also users' interaction with the product itself, you're able to then really see beyond the bottleneck. And there's a say as well that you can't fix the problem you do not know. If you don't know a problem exists, you cannot fix it. The first rule of thumb in solving any problem is your ability to first understand what the problems are, the problem statement, and after that, you're able to find a way to solve such problem. And that's really what we're looking at here. So the moment you're able to organize clean data, make predictive analysis, you're able to, in one way or the other, also cut out operational experience or efficiency. Because at the end of the day, there are a couple of things that you are not supposed to be doing by yourself that you get to do. Or take, for instance, some may be that some emails are supposed to go out a particular time in a week, and maybe somebody gets to do that all the week. Those kind of things can be automated. So it is when you look at all of these processes that you're able to really make sense out of it. Now let's talk about the final point, which is talking around what it means to manage risk when it comes to artificial intelligence. So there are several ways that artificial intelligence can help to really mitigate risk when it comes to businesses. One of it is identifying the risk. When you have millions of data points, millions of data, the question is how are you able to tell what is going to happen? How are you able to really tell the possibilities that some things will not go wrong? And pretty much what helps really well in situations like that is your ability to really understand the data itself. And when we look at it very well, it is something that is possible. But it takes a lot of work, but it's something we can do. And pretty much that's really where this kind of conversation really makes sense. Because until we really understand some of these things, some of this bottleneck, the tendency that we're able to drive these changes are very, very minimal. And I can say that we have 3 categories of people when it comes to this current artificial intelligence race. The first are more or less people who get to get their hands dirty in making sure that some of these models work well. Then we have the second set of people whose role majorly is to consume the product. Take, for instance, almost all of us right now know how to use platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok to more or less do one task or the other. Those platforms works perfectly, and they are very good in actually gaining efficiency in things that we get to do. Meanwhile, there are also some people whose role is to find a way to ensure that they advocate about the importance of artificial intelligence. Now, the question I'm going to ask you right now is, which aspect are you? Are you from the advocacy point of view? Are you from the development point of view? Are you from the consumer point of view? Now, regardless of the area you find yourself, they all still work well. But one thing that is very, very, very crucial right now, or something that is very, very common right now, is that businesses still struggle to find ways to leverage on artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to incorporating their business model and the way they currently operate with artificial intelligence. Now, as a person, if you are able to put yourself in that environment where you serve as the bridge between that gap, then the tendency for you to really find yourself at the top is very high, because at the end of the day, where businesses struggle to find a way to ensure that businesses, their business sort of like have some element of artificial intelligence in what they do. You're just there to really help them. So while millions of people, or billions of people rather, get to do just more like chat with the machine, you on the other hand can take it a step further and ensure that you do even more things than what other people can do. And that's why we are really organizing a workshop to facilitate this process, to ensure that we have the technicality and the resources we need to not just only be someone who go to an open AI, for instance, to chat about solving a problem. But rather, we can actually use business existing data to say something that really makes sense. And also build models, build models that can actually help businesses to solve their problems. So the 3-day workshop is really, really tailored to helping people to move beyond just working with the chat prompts and coming up with business model that can really help businesses to scale. So if you're interested in this training, just go to ai.instincthub.com. The program spanned from 21st to 23rd November 2023. So pretty much we're going to be having like minds together to understand and discuss how this ecosystem work. So it's not something you want to miss, and it's not something you want to really miss when it comes to how the world is really moving at a very fast pace. So if you have any question, just can hit us up on our social media and do so. Reach out to us directly on our WhatsApp channel. We'll be willing to tell you more about this program. And pretty much, and that's how we wrap it up for today. If there are comments or questions, don't hesitate to drop your question either in the comments, and for those who are listening to me right now, you can also send in your comments, and I should be able to help in that regard. Thank you so much for your time, and pretty much, so the program is 2024. This year is happening 2024. So pretty much, let's find a way to connect and see how we can build models that we can then begin to pitch for businesses. And I can't really wait for you to have that technical skills to be able to change lives. And pretty much, I'll be signing up on this one. So I'll see you again with another tip next week, Thursday, by 12 noon.